Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast, the Project Investigation Collaboration, the collaboratory podcast between the Veritas Project and Investigator Todd. And as always, our gracious host, founder of the Veritas Project, and walking Wikipedia to the weird, it is Robert Curtis.
Hello.
And I myself, Investigator Todd Boyer. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome back. A little later podcast today. We're doing an evening podcast today. Scheduling issues, things happen.
Yeah.
So here we are. And once again, Bob is rocking it with an amazing shirt.
Got my bowling shirt on.
Bob has the best wardrobe in the paranormal business. Always the best paranormal wardrobe. So today, we are going to cover disappearances in the National Forest. Yeah. Now, the weird thing is, a lot of disappearances happened before they become national forests. So that's the question that we're trying to kind of figure out, maybe, or just kind of discuss is, did they make them national forests because weird things were going on?
Yeah, and they wanted to encapsulate that area and have it protected so they can control who goes where and what, right?
So, we have a list of 20 in front of us. Unexplained disappearances throughout the years. I mean, we're going back to, I'm seeing 69, I'm seeing 38, all the way up until I see 2015 over here.
2015, yeah.
So even all the way up to modern, there's people just And when I say disappearances, I mean disappear without a trace.
Yeah.
And we're talking skilled hikers, skilled climbers, just
professional
poofing.
Mountain bikers.
Yeah, just poofing off the map.
Yeah, no evidence at all.
So these are not in any kind of order.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
They're all over the place. Like I said, we were putting together data, and we want you guys to just take a listen and maybe start looking into that info yourselves. Like we always recommend you do, we'll dip our toe in, you guys jump in the pool.
Yeah.
So let's just go ahead and start there and go all the way across. And
do you want to bring the comments
up? Bring the comments back up so we can see. Sorry, guys.
Too smaller for me to read.
Wiki Bob, yep. So, hey, we thank you guys for liking us. Go ahead and keep tapping if you wouldn't mind. Get us up to
tap.
10, 15. Tap Bob's forehead. He likes it. So the first one we're going to cover is in 1985, Mount Hood National Forest in Oregon. Mm-hmm. And the guy, which is Pete McElvoy, just disappeared without a trace during a hunting trip.
Right.
He was extensive search conducted by local authorities.
Yeah.
He was never found. Theories include accidental injury or maybe an animal predator, but there was no evidence of anything.
Right, nothing.
Like just poof, disappeared, no evidence of any kind whatsoever. And my theory is if he's out there hunting, natural predator, he would have shot at something.
Right.
Yeah, and possibly hit it and wounded it or whatever. But he went out to wherever he was hunting and just poof, gone.
Or he would know after a certain time that people were looking for him and know the 3-shot rule.
Right.
Right, to shoot. You if you're lost in the woods, you fire 3 shots off and then wait a set amount of time, I forget what it is, like an hour or something, then fire 3 more shots. And that way they can triangulate where the shots are coming from and know where to look for you.
That's that's the international distress signal, if you guys didn't know that. So, and then we have James Tidwell.
Right.
Who disappeared in 2007 in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park in Tennessee. He vanished while hiking. Once again, extensive search by park rangers and volunteers. Mm-hmm. Once again, never found. They say maybe he accidentally fell or wildlife, but once again, there was no evidence.
Right.
Just completely disappeared. And that's the funny thing about all of these. These people just vanished.
Just disappeared.
And then, some of them they did find the bodies, but they're like weird circumstances that they found. And we'll get into those.
In a weird place, like
nowhere near where they should have been.
Nowhere near where they were supposed to be.
So, and that's the thing is, these have been going on for so long. Are they isolating the national parks to keep people out of it?
Right.
You know?
So that way they can control who has access. Because a lot of times in the national park, the rangers will shut off an area from traffic and say this is like a burn hazard,
right.
or this is like a flood hazard, or whatever, and they have the ultimate domain over it. So
right.
Whereas if it wasn't a national park, then the sheriff could go in there, and be like, yeah, you don't, I have dominion over this land.
So speaking of national parks, our first rabbit hole. Did you see my video this week?
With the Sasquatch?
Yes. I was down by Mark Twain National Forest.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked up, and I saw something large and black take a step and a half and disappear behind the trees. Like, I saw it go step, step, and gone. It happened so fast that it was like, did I really just see that?
Yeah.
And I stood there for a long time, and I'm like, okay, what do I do?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to make a video. People are going to think I'm nuts, but I'm going to make a video.
Might as well, right?
So, and you know me, I'm not huge on the Bigfoots and the skunk apes, but I'm all about the UFOs and the ghosts and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Right.
But like, cryptids, I'm not so much on, but maybe now I will be.
Right.
Keep
because an eye out.
Yeah, I'll be keeping an eye out for sure now. So, but yeah, first rabbit hole. But yeah, that just threw me off this week. So, yeah, if you guys didn't see that video, go back and take a look at it. It's I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. So do you think maybe there are things in the forest that the government knows about that maybe they're protecting?
Maybe. That could be a part of it too. That they know that's like a breeding ground for, Sasquatch or something, and they just turned it into a national park to try to protect them. They figure that way, if it ever comes out that they really are Sasquatch or whatever there, that they can say, well, yeah, and they're protected species. So
right.
Now they're off limits, because there's nothing that Hoosiers would like more than to have a mounted Sasquatch head on their wall, right?
You should get one of those. I bet you can find one of those on Amazon. Like a Chewbacca head.
Right.
Yes.
Great big Sasquatch on your wall.
All right. So next we have Mark Lindsay, who disappeared in 1996. Glacier National Park in Montana. Just solo hiking. Just another one, intensive search. Nothing came up. He just vanished.
Despite evidence, whereabouts remain unknown. Theories of accidental fall or encountering wildlife. That's what they say about all of them.
Yeah.
That somebody accidentally fell or, encountered wildlife. But some of these counts that I've looked into are more recent ones. The person had a spot GPS beacon.
Uh-huh.
They had their phone with them, and there was never a they want a new goal. There was never any triangulation from the towers. You know how like your phone
right, your phone pings off of multiple towers so it can triangulate where you're at.
Your phone leaves breadcrumbs as you walk around during the day or as you drive around during the day. And it leaves like a path that the cell phone company and the government can request it, and they can see like everywhere you go during the daytime. Your phone just has that on all the time. And they've requested that data and found that it's inconclusive. Like it'll be like they went down this trail and then disappeared for like 50 yards and then started up again and then disappeared forever. And they take dogs and helicopters and multiple troopers, and everybody goes out there and looks around at all of this data, and there's nothing at all there. No footprints, no anything.
John Devaney, same situation. 1983, Lassen Volcanic National Forest, National Park. Same thing. Solo hiking, went out for a hike, poof, gone.
Yep.
They searched, found nothing. These are experienced. A lot of these are experienced hikers.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So Jared Negrete, 91, Joshua Tree National Park, California, vanished during a hiking trip. Extensive search, nothing.
Yeah. No evidence.
No evidence whatsoever. So, and then Joseph Joey Peterson, 2014. So even a more recent one, right?
8-year-old.
8-year-old vanished while with his family.
Yeah.
Just vanished while with his family.
Is that the one where he was playing hide and seek? Is that?
We have one in here where the kid was playing hide and seek and disappeared. So,
But that one is crazy because there were other kids there in the area when he disappeared.
Yeah. David Gonzalez, 2012. Superstition Mountains, Tonto National Forest, Arizona, vanished during a solo hike.
Yeah.
No trace whatsoever. Dorothy Forstein, 1985, Catskill Mountains, New York, vanished during a solo hike. No trace. Mm-hmm. And they just assume, it was a fall or it was a wild animal. But they're not finding any evidence of this. Right? 1938, King Canyon National Park, Alfred Beilhartz, right? California, disappeared under mysterious circumstances. They did find him in 1940, but the cause of death was unclear because the mystery surrounding his disappearance remains unsolved.
Yeah.
So they can't figure out how he died. So it's just, it makes you wonder if our government's hiding something, or there's something already there, or taking advantage of the national forest.
And it's not like it's just like Wyoming or whatever. These are Oregon, Tennessee, Montana, California, New York. They're in all the national parks all over the country. Crazy.
So then Eric Lewis, 2010, Zion National Park, Utah, vanished during a solo hike. Once again, zero trace.
Yeah.
Stacy Ann Aris, 1981, Yosemite National Park. Experienced hiker, vanished while hiking alone.
Yeah.
Without a trace. It's just, every theory out there, they're throwing up as far as animals or fall or whatever, but they're never finding a body. That's the thing.
Right.
They're not finding,
no evidence.
There's no evidence. There's no blood trail. There's nothing.
No rifle. There's no, like steel toe boots or any, they don't turn up anything that you could tie to that person, I know in one of these disappearances, I can't remember, I watched it on the Missing 411 documentary that David Pauletti's did. This family heard a gunshot at their cabin, which was like way, way off, like it backs up to the national forest.
Right.
And then the next day, the husband went out into the woods to like let the dogs out or whatever on the edge of their property, and they found a pack with a rifle leaned up against it and two hunt boots next to it, and that was it. And when they turned the serial number in, they called the police or the rangers, and they searched the serial number. The rifle was from one of these guys that went missing in the forest. And they have no idea how it got all the way to these people's property and why it was left neatly stacked up against a tree.
Right.
And if it was snowing, in deep snow, then why did he leave his boots behind?
Right.
It's
and there's a lot of them that
crazy.
are like that. If you go back and look, where people just left things behind.
Yeah.
They just vanished from their campsite, or just
One of the guy left. He had a water bottle and a bandana on a rock that had like his wallet and keys and some change, and his water bottle sitting on a bandana that was on a rock, and then there's no other trace of him. Like he just disappeared from the world.
Here's one in 1980 where he was with a hunting trip with his dad, so he wasn't even alone, disappeared. There's the one you were talking about earlier, 1969, Great Smoky Mountains. 6-year-old vanished playing hide and go seek.
Yeah.
These they go on, and we only asked for 20.
Yeah.
And I know that I asked for 10 or 15 earlier because I was doing my research today.
Yeah.
None of them match this.
Yeah.
And this isn't just America.
Oh yeah.
This is
Canada,
worldwide.
All the
like
parts.
all these national forests throughout the world.
Yeah.
These people just disappear without a trace. So it's not just, our national forest. So that makes me wonder if, the lizard people, that are running things behind the curtains, right?
David Pauletti's he has videos that are like this, and all of the binders on the shelf behind him are full of cases of these missing people. He has thousands of them that he researched. And he is banned from the national parks. The park service won't let him in.
Banned.
because of doing research for these. Because the families who have their loved one missing, for like a year, they're like, we just want closure. We want to know what happened. So they go to him, and then he would on his own time, on his own dime, would go and do an investigation to try and find out what happened. He'd put boots on the ground and go into the net and retrace their steps,
Right.
go down the thing and try to find them, and come up with nothing. And then it was worse than nothing, because after a while, the Forest Service started to shut him out. They would catch him at the gate and be like, "No, you don't come in here." He was one of the first people that got the filming violation. Like, you're not allowed to film in parks anymore.
Really?
Because of him. That's why they instituted that law, because they were tired of him, because he would go into the park and then shoot his documentary, his
Right.
footage in the park. He'd be like, he went right down this trail and then turned left and was never seen again. So they got tired of that evidence being in his things all the time, so they banned it, so that you have to have a special permit to film in the national park.
Oh, and you can't fly drones in national parks.
You can't fly drones anymore either.
So forget looking for anybody in the national parks with a drone. That's out. It's just... the more you think about it, it's like, are they trying to cover things up, or you know what I mean?
And
it just seems odd.
I've heard personally from my research that people who are park rangers have said that there is another level to the rangers.
Really?
Like a FBI of the rangers.
Really?
Yeah. And he said, because we're, like the rangers, they would say, we're the police department of
Right.
the park. And then, we would have an investigation go on, and these other people that they've never seen before would come in, in park ranger outfits, and be like, "Yeah, you don't need to look into this anymore. We're going to look into it.
Huh.
You can go back to, checking tickets or whatever." And they're like, "Well, we're doing good work here. What's that?" Like, "Yeah, we'll take all that." And then they just never investigated it. Never had any closure.
Makes you wonder, another rabbit hole to go down that, you guys can look into.
Yeah.
And, like I said, we're just giving you guys the tip of the iceberg. We just gave you the first 20 that ChatGPT gave us.
If you have Amazon Prime, there's 3 movies on there by David Paulides. It's Paul Edes, Paulides, I think. And he has 3 different...
Yeah. My account logged off the live. I'm not worried about it.
Oh, because your phone's locked.
Yeah, because my phone closed. That's all good.
So he made 3 different movies. I think he's working on another one right now. And he exhaustively explains all of this. And if you watch it, when I watched the first one, because I was like, well, that's kind of silly, but I'll see what this is about, because people go missing all the time, whatever. And then he's not a fringe conspiracy person, He just lays it out there. He's like, I've seen too much of this to realize that it's not something weird. You know what I mean? Like, he has done the homework and followed down the path of all of these stories, and he comes up with the same conclusion every time.
Sorry, guys.
That these people, they just fell off the earth. And like I say, some of these people, it's not like they were, just hunting alone or hiking alone and got bit by a rattlesnake and then fell down a ditch. You know what I mean?
Right.
There was one where these 2 women were standing on some rocks taking pictures, and then the one lady turned around to take a panoramic shot. She was doing the panoramic shot, and when she turned back around, her friend was gone.
Yeah.
Or the little kids playing hide and seek. The other kids were looking for the kid, and the kid just
gone
into thin air. I believe in that story, one of the other kids, it might have been his sister that was there, said he went behind a tree because she could see from where she was hiding that the kid ran behind a tree and then was
gone,
never seen again. No trace of the kid.
So that makes you wonder, because the way you tell that story is kind of how the thing happened to me, the Bigfoot thing.
Yeah.
Because it looked like it walked behind trees, and I was expecting it to come out the other side.
Yeah.
But it walked behind trees and just, was it.
They say that a lot about Sasquatch. That's why Nick Redfern and I had a conversation about this at the UFO Festival years and years ago. And I cornered him about it. And I was like, you said in one of your books I read that you believe Bigfeet are interdimensional beings. And he's like, well, I talk about that. I'm like, no, I want to talk about that, because that's what I think too, is that they're not from our plane of existence. That's why when they die, their body isn't here. You know what I mean? They're a trans-dimensional being. They phase into our reality. So that's why when you see one walk past a tree, they don't go past the tree.
Yeah, that's
like
exactly what I saw. Like
into a parallel
so
universe,
wild.
and the gateway is parallel with the tree. So it's like when they do like movie editing where they make a cut and they use the tree as the cut. So like the car
That's
drives
what it
by
looked
and
like,
it
dude. I'm
disappears.
telling you. So there was like.
That's so often.
So there was. Now, looking from my point of view, obviously this is backwards for you guys. So to my front, the lake was to my left, and if you look out to the lake, you could see a dock going out, and there was no road. It was you had to walk out there, and it was a good ways. It was good 150 yards.
Right.
It was good ways. A little past the dock was a bush with white flowers on it that looked this high-ish, right? This thing was so tall that, so I'm talking like 4 feet, right? About 4 feet tall. This thing was so tall that it's just above its knees is where that bush came. Like, so its knees were at 4 feet.
Right.
Right? And it, like I said, it went step, and went behind the tree.
Right.
Because there was 2 trees kind of like this. And it went behind this tree, and I was fully expecting it to walk out behind the other one, and that was it. It was gone. Like it stepped behind the tree, and it just, I'm telling you, I stood there. I stood there and stared at that spot, like for 3 or 4 minutes, just
peek out or something.
Something.
But that's what Nick says in his books too, is that he believes that Sasquatch are interdimensional, transdimensional beings. So that's how they phase in and out of our observation, because we're on one plane of reality and they're on another, and they just kind of phase in, phase back out. And he doesn't know if they can see us in their reality, and that's why maybe the Sasquatch freaks out sometimes and like attacks buildings and things like that, because they're like, why is this building here? It's not in my world.
Right.
But it kind of bleeds into one other dimension, and now it can see you or see the house or whatever, and then it throws rocks at you and stuff, and then it phases back into its dimension and it goes away,
So what's out there in these forests? Is it Bigfoot, or is it
UFOs,
lizard people bases?
The entrance,
UFOs?
the entrance to alien bases could be. It could be the lizard people, like in Peru. It could be a thing like that where they got too close. Or it could be even something conventional. It could be drug traffickers. And that's a lane of narco trafficking, and then some backpacker just happened to wander into the wrong path at the wrong time.
So let's talk about the zone of death. Now, this isn't a paranormal thing. It's just a legal loophole.
Yeah.
Up in Yellowstone National Forest, I believe it's Iowa and Wyoming.
Yeah.
The way the National Forest is set up, it crosses the borderline. Okay?
Right.
Now, the way the law says, the government has to, if you commit a crime, the government has to pull a pool of your peers from the place that you unalived that person, right?
Right, a jury of your peers.
A jury of your peers. Only problem is there's that 50 square miles that overlaps. Nobody lives there.
Yeah, nobody.
They can't pull a jury, and national parks are federal. They're run by the federal government.
Right.
So if you commit a crime in there, it's a federal crime, not a state crime. So they can't pull from their peers, and you're supposed to be able to pull from the peers in this area that you committed the crime, but they can't because nobody's there. Right. So technically, and it's still to this day.
Yeah.
If you commit a murder in that 50 square miles, technically it's a loophole that you can get away with it, because there's no way that you could buy the book. But be tried correctly for it.
Any district attorney is just going to request a change of venue.
Yeah.
They're just going to ask for a change of venue, and then you'll get tried wherever your hometown is, probably.
Matrix. Robin's like, Matrix portals.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we always talk about, though. Like people say, well, that's just a dumb theory or whatever. Like, well,
every theory is a dumb theory
until you can disprove it. then you have to consider every theory, right?
Yep.
And then once you can conclusively take that theory out of the box
Right.
and say this is completely bogus, now what are we left with, right? That's how you solve these things, instead of just starting with the preconceived notion that, oh, this is all bunk, there's no such thing as UFOs or aliens or people disappearing, blah blah blah. They just they sprain their ankle and then starve to death in the woods.
Idaho. Did I say Iowa? I'm sorry. Yeah, it's Idaho.
Yeah.
If I said the wrong state, I apologize. It is definitely Idaho.
Prove you're an American. Right? What is the capital of Argentina? I don't know.
I have no clue. But yeah, so where do we go from here with this? You know what I mean? It's like, and there's so much lands that are set aside,
and more and more all the time.
Right, and something that even him and I were talking about earlier is, you go into these national parks and there's zero cell service.
Yeah.
Like there is, I know from proof from going down to Mark Twain National Forest all the time. Yeah. There is no cell service.
Yeah.
Like I have, sometimes I get so far down in the National Forest that the only way for me to go back out is like, and I might have come in from over here, like way off to the side over here, and had to go here, and I got to go there. I can't get GPS signal enough. I have to go back and then across because I can't get enough service in there to get a GPS out because there's no towers to triangulate my signal.
Buenos Aires.
I mean, it's just it's a mess, and people live in these national forests, and it's like, how in the world do you live in?
There are people that still live there. Yeah,
like what in the world are you doing down in here? But
I wonder that sometimes when you drive through like rural America, even like locally, and you're like driving for hours and hours, and then you see a house. You're like, what are these people? How do you shop for groceries if you live like 3 hours from anything? So
I spoke to a gentleman who lived in Mark Twain National Forest. For him to go to a legitimate grocery store was a 3-hour drive.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what?
Why?
How do you do? What do you?
He said they go once a month, is what he said.
Wow, that's crazy.
I couldn't do it. I like my things around.
It's like, what was that guy the Unabomber? What was that guy's name?
Oh, I don't even know. You're asking the wrong person. You're asking the guy that can't remember what he ate 5 minutes ago. Yeah.
People don't want to be near the cell tower. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
Don't get me started on the tinfoil hat people.
Right.
I got to deal with these people every day. Don't get me started on tinfoil hat people. The same people that'll stick a telephone up in their pocket and walk around with it all day long. Or
hold it up to their head all the time.
Or hold it up to their head. Or the same people that don't want a utility meter that runs on 5Gs, which is the same thing the phone runs on.
Right. Like, 5G is going to give you cancer. I'm like, you've been talking to somebody on the phone for 40 minutes. It's right next to your head.
Yeah.
Like it's using your skull as an antenna, and you're talking about your power meter like 100 yards into your backyard.
The ones that crack me up are the people who live in like multifamily or whatever, right? Or an apartment complex or whatever. Multifamily especially. So they live in like a 4-family, and they'll have their meter swapped out to we call it a non-standard meter.
Right.
So it doesn't transmit.
Yeah.
But you got the 3 other meters transmitting right there, right next to it. What's yours going to do, bud?
Right.
And then the house next to yours, it has 4 meters transmitting on it. The building on that side has 4 meters transmitting on it. Like, you're not going to get away from it. No. I mean...
Well, and it's all LoRa communications anyway. It's all low energy. So, like, because when they first put the one on the back of our house, I saw all this stuff about how there were it causes cancer and all this stuff. So I took all of my stuff out there.
Piranha
Ted
says
Kaczynski. That's who it was. That's who we were talking about. Like, that dude lived out in the middle of nowhere and just could not care less. But I took the EMF meter, the Geiger counter, everything, and you get more radiation in the sunlight than you do coming off of that meter. So,
but you can't tell some people that.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, you're going to make a brain tumor." I'm Like, well, what about your phone broadcasting right next to your head? You know,
or your Wi-Fi blasting through your house at all times,
or your car's antenna that's in the entire windshield right next to your face.
Right.
You know, so yeah, there's plenty of worse things out there in the world than your gas meter. You know, it's silly to think that.
Don't get me wrong. I think everything is bad because we do work on. I mean, we're electrical beings.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line.
Right,
you know,
right.
It's all bad for us, but like to pick and choose like that is kind of.
Did you see the X-rays last week?
Uh-uh.
There was a huge geostorm, and there's a bird migration website that tracks different types of gamma radiation, X-ray radiation for the bird migrations. And somebody who was one of us just happens to be looking at that website and saw this cascade of X-ray energy just paint the entire United States, and it stayed over like every major city for like the entire evening.
Really?
Like the 15th of last month, yeah. And then
just the major cities?
Yeah.
And nowhere else?
And then the next day you could see it. It started just off the coast of Africa. There's this big bloom of X-ray radiation, and then as it goes across the country from the side of the sun, it's at night when it hits us. And it just paints the whole country in this blue glow. And then as it goes away, around every major city there's this blue circle that just hangs out all night and then kind of dissipates.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And TikTok took down all of the videos that mentioned it. Because
really?
They were like, oh, it's all conspiracy theory. Like, well, everything is a conspiracy theory until it isn't.
Until it isn't, yeah, right. Exactly.
Like I always tell everybody, you know, a cobra snake made a fantastic pet until it didn't. Right?
Right.
Everybody, oh, I love these things. They're so great. I wear it like a hat.
Until it bit your face off, yeah.
Until it bites the first person, then they're like, oh, these things are dangerous.
Right.
Yeah. You know, everything is a conspiracy theory until it isn't, right? And how many things throughout history have you said, oh, like the biggest one ever is the JFK thing.
Right.
Right? And now that they've started releasing all the JFK stuff in drips and drams, you're like, well, all these crazy people that you've been calling nuts all this time were right.
Right.
You said there was no 3 bullets. You're all crazy. And they say, oh yeah, here's this paper. There was 3 bullets.
Right.
Like,
well, how about the speaking of the snake hat? How about the fact that they were giving out radiation pills back in the 50s and 60s because they thought they were healthy?
A lot of people. Yeah, radium.
Radium was like given out like candy because they thought it was healthy. So.
It's not a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
It's not a tumor. But yeah, so we encourage you guys to go out and jump into this pool, just like we encourage you to go jump in all the others.
Yeah, look up David Pauletti's. He's the one who's just completely exhaustively researched all of this to his own demise, because now he's hated by the government, he's hated by the tax people, he's hated by everybody. So he just refuses to back down. So because the families come to him and they're like, I want to find my brother, I want to find my mom, I want to find blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, all right, I'll help you. And then he just keeps getting into trouble over and over again trying to help these families out, and like the government just does not care at all. They do nothing but put roadblocks up.
So go out there, right? Jump in this information yourself. We always encourage you guys. We'll dip our toe in. We encourage you guys to jump in the pool.
Yeah.
Remember, check out all Bob's social medias, RS Curtis and the Veritas Project, everywhere. Don't forget, Bob will be going live tomorrow to edit this video.
Yep.
It's whenever Bob wakes up and feels like getting started. There's no set time on it.
It'll probably be like 9, I think, tomorrow.
So 9 Central, right around there. I usually jump in and chit chat with him.
Yeah.
All my social medias are Investigator Todd on everything. And we truly encourage you guys to check this out. And we appreciate you guys being here. We appreciate you guys sharing us out to everyone. So, we thank you guys for watching again this week. And, we appreciate you guys coming back week after week. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so that way you can tell when we post these videos on Mondays. And as always, remember,
stay curious
and find the truth. And thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you guys next time.